You are Locked On Bruins Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Fours up, Bruin Nation. What's going on? And welcome to the Locked On UCLA Postcast, coming at you live on the Locked On UCLA YouTube channel and after the fact, both on the channel and wherever you get the Locked On UCLA audio podcast feed. It's a new era for the Bruins. It did not start well. It is a new era for the Locked On UCLA Postcast as well. Some of you may know me from doing this show last year on a different channel on the Locked On Podcast Network, but now we're coming at you live directly on the Locked On UCLA YouTube channel. I know you're familiar with Zach. He'll still be doing his regular stuff, but I'm in here live after every single game as well. If you don't know who I am, what's going on, everybody? My name is Gavin Carlson. I spent 4 years covering this UCLA football team, also covered UCLA men's and women's basketball, all with the Daily Bruin. I'm UCLA class of 2024, as you can see behind me. So I've got the fan perspective. I've got the journalist perspective as well. I'm a fan first and foremost, and I am pissed off just like everybody else in Bruin Nation, because this is just a disgraceful start to what was supposed to be a special year for UCLA football. For those who joined me on this show last year, you remember how disappointed, how frustrated I was after the abysmal home opener last year. If you forgot somehow how last season started, the Bruins opened up with a nail-biting, underwhelming win against Hawaii in Hawaii, but you got the win, right? You come back home, you face Indiana, an interesting opponent. We did not know at that moment that they were going to go on to make the college football playoff, and we got absolutely thumped, 42-13. And at that point, you're thinking, oh my, is Deshaun Foster the wrong hire? Oh my, is this team going to win any games in the next month or so with LSU and Oregon and Penn State after that on the schedule last year? Well, this year, the schedule looks a lot different, right? The hype and excitement around this team very different. It's not, hey, we're excited about the Deshaun Foster hire, but we're also nervous about it. No. This is year two. We had a great recruiting class, and of course, the talk of maybe all of college football outside of maybe Arch Manning and a couple other things was the transfer of course, Nico Iamaleava. He comes over from Tennessee, and this is the game, right? You're at home against a former Pac-12 rival. If you handle business against Utah, boy, oh boy, the excitement that was going to be around this program, it was going to be awesome, right? You handle business against Utah, guess what you have after that? You're at UNLV, you host New Mexico, and then you're at Northwestern. You could very easily, I've been tweeting it, and if you don't know, follow me right here on Twitter at Gavin Carlson _. I've been tweeting it all offseason. UCLA will be 4-0 hosting Penn State on October 4th at the Rose Bowl with Nico Iamaleava. How exciting is that going to be, right? The opportunity this program had with all the ridicule, all the clowning that has been surrounding this program for years with Chip Kelly and last season, with all the excitement, but criticism maybe, the spotlight being on this program with Nico coming to town the way he did. And you have an opportunity to handle business against a very good Utah team. And we're going to talk about it. This is a great Utah team. They very easily could be what Indiana was last year, a team that was under the radar in the offseason, dumps the Bruins, and then goes on to be a really surprising, impressive, successful football team this season, right? That's certainly a possibility. We'll talk about Devin Dampier and what he did to this Bruins defense. But you have the opportunity to beat Utah to open the season and then have three cupcake opponents to be 4-0 against Penn State. The excitement around this program would have been unbelievable. But instead, Nico, I'm a believer, right? All of that, in a blink of an eye, it's all gone. It's all gone. Because not only do you lose this game, but you get embarrassed. You get embarrassed. You did not show up. The defense looked maybe as bad as it's ever looked in the past decade. And we know how bad this defense has been. Maybe not the last couple of years, but the years before that. Nico was okay. He wasn't terrible. And I know there's going to be plenty of Tennessee fans in here saying, ha, 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 we won the trade. There's going to be plenty of just college football fans who did not like the way the Nico transfer happened and said, they're going to be saying, ha, ha, ha. If you look at Nico's performance, we'll get into it deeper. It was okay. It was just okay, right? He was not set up to succeed, but he was also not fantastic, without a doubt. There's plenty of criticism to be had. But I was just stunned at how unprepared this UCLA football team was. And that's what we're going to start today's show. There's a lot of ways we can go with it, but I want to talk about the coaching and the lack of execution by UCLA.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Deshaun Foster, man. I'm a big fan of Deshaun Foster. I'm a big fan of Tino Sunseri. And I really like the defensive coaching staff as well. I really do. I thought there's plenty that the defense got right last year, despite it being an up and down season, to be encouraged. But I was stunned at how unprepared the UCLA defense was for Devin Dampier. A mobile quarterback, an okay passer, but a guy who is going to kill you with his legs. And this defense looked so stunned that he could run around. We knew the Utah offensive line was one of the best in the country. It always is. And we knew there was going to be some question marks about UCLA's front seven. When you lose the Murphy twins, when you lose Femi Oladejo, and when, of course, you lose Carson Sweshinger, there's no Jay Toya, right? And while I like guys like Gary Smith and Keanu Williams, while I think there's depth in the front seven, it's not as top-heavy as, NFL caliber as it was last year. And so I knew we were going to get pushed around. I knew Utah was going to average 4, 5, 6 yards a carry. But not only did they get 6 or 7 on every single handoff up the middle, but we looked so unprepared to contain Devin in the pocket. So unprepared. What pissed me off the most was he's running around, he's breaking contain, and it's one thing if you're trying different things, they're not working, you move to something else and then it works, right? It kind of reminded me of how teams were playing in the NFL against Jay and Daniels last season, where they started treating him like a rookie quarterback, where you try to send pressure, you try to blitz him up the middle, and then he escapes it. So you're like, all right, we got to change it. So then you blitz a corner off the edge, but he's so fast that he outruns the corner to the boundary, to the perimeter. So then you change it up and you say, okay, we're going to contain him and just try to keep him in the pocket. Now, Jane Daniels in the NFL or just mobile quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, whatever, they're so good that they're going to shred you regardless. But UCLA didn't adjust enough. They did not. There was a couple times where they had to contain and he still got away because UCLA's tackling was awful. And we'll get into that. But I thought the defense, the lack of adjustments, especially early in the game, disappointing. And then the fact that you have a halftime where you got thumped and you're fortunate to not be down 3-4 scores, right? And yet the adjustments at halftime were not good enough. They were not. The tackling was embarrassing. And again, I get it. You're going to get pushed by this team, by this offensive line for Utah. That's what they do. But Wayshawn Parker is not a Heisman Trophy candidate, and he looked like it. 11 for 62 underestimates how successful he was. Breaking tackles at will. There was a key play in the third quarter where it's a 2nd and 7, I believe, and you could have had him in the backfield. Should have been a 3rd and 9. But he breaks tackles, it's a 3rd and 1, and they convert on the next play. And so what did Utah do? They ran it down your throat. Devin Dampier, 21-25 for 206 and 2 touchdowns. The guy threw 4 incomplete passes, and that was the second most impressive part of their offense. A guy went 21 of 25, and that was the second most impressive thing because they ran 54 times for 286 yards. 286 on the ground. They had more on the ground than we had total. They almost had more in the air than we had total. 54 for 286 and 4 touchdowns. And you can make an argument that none of these stats are the most embarrassing. because the most embarrassing stat of them all, Utah was 14 of 17 on third down. Think about that. Think about that. Were there a couple that Utah earned themselves with impressive plays? Was there a 3rd and 12, I believe they converted? A 3rd and 9 they converted? Was Devin Dampier running all over the place and causing havoc? Yes. But a majority of the time, there's one thing to be on schedule, on time and on schedule as an offense, right? If it's 1st and 10, you would love it to be 2nd and 6, and you'd love it to be 3rd and 2, right? When you do that, you're going to convert 3rd down most times. But they were ahead of schedule, right? It was 2nd and 3 all game. It was 3rd and 1 all game. It was way too easy. Way too easy. And again, I mean, they scored 43 points. They didn't even really have to try in the 4th quarter. They probably could have put up 50. But I don't know what I'm more shocked about and more scared about. The lack of adjustments from UCLA, coaching-wise, defensively especially, or just how outmatched we were talent-wise. Again, I knew the front seven is talented. I still think they are. But I also knew it was going to take some time to get used to not seeing Carson Schwessinger running around being the best linebacker maybe in the entire country. Femi Oladejo, an early round draft pick. Jay Toya, a guy that Texas was trying to throw millions at last offseason. The Murphy twins, right? There's going to be some time. It's going to take some time for this front seven to build and be anywhere near as good as that one. Kane Medrano, I keep not mentioning him as well, right? That was Ali Cajo was like the 5th string linebacker on this team. Darius Muasau, John Vaughns, right? He's still here, but you get what I'm saying. That front seven was stacked. This one's going to take some time, but they certainly were well below the already medium expectations I had for them, and the coaching defensively was beyond disappointing. Now, we're going to get to the offense after we take our first break here. For those who don't know how this show works, it's around a 20-minute live show. You can comment throughout the show. Shout out to everybody in here that's commenting already. AB, David, another David, Jacob, a lot from AB. Angels wins in here. Freddie, Gerardo, Bright New Ideas. Freddie, my boy Manny's in here. Everybody's in here. So shout out to everybody. Leave your comments. We're going to be reacting to them throughout this show all season long. Be more summing it up best. He says, I was so pissed that I started to cry. Man, oh man, it's rough. It's rough. And it feels like last season when Indiana came to the Rose Bowl, it was way too red in the crowd and they thumped us. And it feels like that again tonight. Way too much red in the crowd. And this team came in and embarrassed us. And you know, with all the spotlights and all the headlines about UCLA coming into the year, we were the popular team. Hey, if there's one team that could sneak into the college football playoff this year, oh, who is it? Or even if you weren't a believer of this team, you were certainly talking about UCLA with Nico coming to town. Well, you know what the headlines are going to be tomorrow morning and Monday morning. You're going to roast Nico. You're going to flame this program. They're going to show the empty seats in the Rose Bowl, and we're going to be the laughingstock of college football, at least for this week. And that is so annoying as someone like all of you who lives and breathes UCLA sports, UCLA football. It hurts so much. But we're going to take our break. When we come back, we are, of course, going to talk about Nico Iamaleava, because I think there's a lot of people that are going to just run to the headlines and see that the box score wasn't great and that UCLA got destroyed. And they're going to say, ha, told you so. This guy's a clown. His family's a clown. You know, he's not good. He's overrated. He's overpaid. He's spoiled all this. Let's have a real conversation about his performance tonight. We'll do that after our break here on a very frustrating edition of the Locked On UCLA Postcast. I'll be right back. Now, on this season debut of the Locked On UCLA Postcast on this Saturday night, today's show is brought to you by Gametime. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping, at checkout. But that's why I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download Gametime today. And today's show is also brought to you by Upside. UCLA fans, are you still paying full price for gas? I know you're driving like crazy down there in LA, but you need to stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code football and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make it up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code football for limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code football. Disclaimer, offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. Back here live on the Locked On UCLA Postcast, and a very depressing Locked On UCLA Postcast as the Bruins get embarrassed, humiliated, and quite frankly, shamed at the Rose Bowl. 43-10, the final. Just 1 year removed from UCLA having a home opener where they fall by almost the same score against Indiana. I cannot believe it. It was 42-13 last year, right, where UCLA got embarrassed. Garbers threw for 137 yards. There was no offense. The highest receiving total in that game for the Bruins, TJ Harden with 41 yards receiving. TJ Harden had 48 yards rushing in that game. There was no offense. Well, today, not much better. On the ground, wanted to see what it was going to look like. Unfortunately, the entire ground game was Nico Iamaleava. Javion Thomas, just 7 for 17. Anthony Woods ran over a guy, had a really impressive carry, yet still, just 3 for 13 for him. Jalen Berger, 5 carries for 7 yards. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? Real quick, before we break down Nico's performance, in case anybody missed this game, really the first 3 or so drives decided this ball game, right? Utah immediately runs the ball down UCLA's throat, 11 plays, 75 yards in just over 4 minutes. Then UCLA has a long, slow drive where they go 10 plays. They have a 4th and short, and unfortunately, they're at the Utah 40. It's 4th and 2. They had already converted a 4th down earlier in this ball game, but you can make the argument they got a little bit cute here. You pass it on a 4th and 2 when the run game was looking okay, and unfortunately, you did not convert. It's okay. I tweeted it. It's fine. You're down 7-0 or 6-0. You can get a stop. You'll be okay, right? Nope. Utah immediately runs it right down UCLA's throat again. 10 plays, 60 yards, capped off by an 8-yard TD run. And just like that, it's 13-0. You're panicking. A 3-and-out right after that where Nico Iamaleava is sacked. And then Utah makes it 20-0. And just like that, it's all she wrote, right? An impressive drive from Nico after that to make it 20-7. But this game really fell over when it was 20-0. And then when it was 30-10, it definitely was over. Now let's talk about Nico, because I know everyone's in here in the comment section going crazy. We have a Tennessee fan in here in AB saying, we're really relieved that we pushed him out, right? That's what Tennessee fans are going to be saying, right? They're going to push this narrative that they're okay with him being gone, right? We got him in here saying, do not baby him. Nico, after a year, has improved in no way, right? And Nathaniel in here talking about why Nico came to UCLA, saying UCLA fans know he didn't leave for pro-style development, better talent, and family. It was money, and he had no choices. Look, whether he came for money, for development, for anything, the moral of the story, he was not good enough today. But it sucks because he was not terrible and he was given no help. 11 of 22 looks disgusting. 1 touchdown, 1 pick doesn't look great. Just 136 yards in the air does not look great. He had 13 carries for 47 yards. Of course, that includes the sacks in this one. His running performance was the best thing tonight from him. He was under pressure all night. Not a good sign. The offensive line does not look as cohesive and effective as we were hoping. With some changes there, he was running for his life. I thought he had a couple runs that were pretty inspiring. They weren't just easy scrambles. He was breaking tackles. He was lowering his shoulder. He was taking hard hits, right? But the one hit thing Nico also did in this ball game, and I know I see Alex with the joke here, a lot of overthrows tonight. A lot of overthrows. And I want to say something about overthrows for those who might just immediately blame it on the QB. There's 2 things in this, right? He had an overthrow where I believe it was Matthews. I mean, he overthrew Matthews a couple times, right? But there was one where he was running down the seam. It looked like it could have been one of those in-betweeners where it could have been a post. It could have been a seam. Nico threw it as a post, meaning he threw it a little bit more inside. Matthews was kind of running more of a seam, meaning he was just running straight down the field. You barely miss him, right? You had another one that was pretty similar where he's going down the sideline, the receiver was, and he overthrew him a little bit. There was a couple across the middle that he overthrew as well. And I knew there was going to be nerves coming into this ballgame. All the pressure on Nico with everything that, whether he likes it or not, he and his family brought onto him, right? You knew there was going to be some pressure, some nerves coming into this one, and it did not help that Utah runs down the field and immediately makes it 6-0 before he even gets to take a snap as a UCLA Bruin. But he overthrew passes. He was not good enough, and he also was not given any help in this ballgame. He had plenty of impressive plays, and what I don't want this to become is another Dante Moore season, right? If you don't remember, Dante Moore had plenty of games like this where he had some missed throws with guys wide open. He had some incredible throws that he should not have made. He had some incredible scrambles that he should not have made, but he had some boneheaded plays as well. I do trust Nico more than Dante Moore when he was doing what he was doing 2 seasons ago, and it is because of that experience. It is because he is a more accurate passer. You see the arm talent there. It's absolutely, impressive, right? The release is lightning quick. Those RPOs are almost too quick, right? The receiver doesn't even have time to react. Nico's already pulling the ball, firing one across the middle, right? His potential, like even the haters are in here saying, it's very, very high. But one thing I wanted to see was him settle into the game, and I feel like we did not see that enough. It's okay if your first drive, or maybe even your second drive, is not great, if your accuracy is not there. But I need you to settle in. I need you to look more comfortable. And for a second, he did, right? When you fall behind 20-0, a very impressive 10-play, 75-yard touchdown drive. Immediately throws an 11-yard dart to Jack Peterson to start the drive, right? A couple runs from Anthony Woods, but then a 5-yard run on 3rd and 2 from Nico to convert a first down. The very next play, a 21-yard run from Nico. You get all the way to the Utah 30. Couple handoffs, 2-yard scramble, 2-yard handoff to Jalen Berger, and then the 19-yard touchdown from Nico to Anthony Woods. That drive was beautiful, and it gave us a sneak peek, even in a disappointing game like this. It gave us a sneak peek of what the Nico era can be the rest of the season. But boy, oh boy, that was the only sneak peek we got, because after that, just one more drive that was even respectable, the field goal drive where you go 7 plays, 47 yards. You have a nice 14-yard pass to Quasi Gilmer, another great scramble, which once again was the highlight of his game. The scrambles, a 16-yard scramble there, does complete an 11-yard pass to Quasi Gilmer after that. You know that connection is going to be something the Bruins have to have in 2025. Quasi Gilmer did leave this game with an injury temporarily. That did not help. Another 6-yard pass to Quasi Gilmer. And then we get to the Deshaun Foster decision here and where we end this show. UCLA at this point is down 23-7 with 12 minutes left in the third quarter. There's plenty of time. And conventional football discussion, knowledge, thinking, whatever, says you take a field goal, you go down 13. But man, it's big 2025. You're down 16. You're down 2 scores. But more importantly, your defense has not shown one bit of resistance. One bit. The only question when Utah took the field, maybe even this was generous, was are they going to score a field goal or are they going to score a touchdown? It was never, is Utah going to score? You always knew Utah was going to score when they had the ball. The question was it going to be a field goal or was it going to be a touchdown? So when I say that, there's no way that when you're down 16 in the third quarter and it's a 4th and 4, it's not a 4th and 8, it's a 4th and 4, it's a 46-yard field goal, guys. You're lucky that Mateen Bagani, who I know we have a lot of confidence in, made this kick. Because if he missed this kick and it's still 23-7, when he shouldn't have even kicked it in the first place, it would have been a laughingstock. We would have been a laughingstock. Fortunately, he makes it, but it doesn't matter. When they made the decision in the moment, 99% of UCLA fans are saying, what's the point? It's a 2-score game at 16. The field goal makes it a 2-score game at 13, right? But to make matters worse, the other reason you're saying this, or you're questioning the decision to kick the field goal, is because of what Utah's already done the entire game of not being stopped, like I was saying. And then when you see what they do after the field goal, marching down 21 plays, 80 yards, 9 minutes and 44 seconds, and a kind of embarrassing end to the drive where Utah has no reason to go for the touchdown, right? Because we only settled for a field goal. Utah has a 4th and goal. They only have to settle for a field goal to go back up 16. But guess what? They got nothing to lose, and they have nothing to be afraid of. They have been running it down our throats all ball game. And so they run it down our throats one more time to make it 30-10 and to make that field goal decision look even that more foolish. And so this is where we end the show with Deshaun Foster. I'm already going well over time, but Deshaun Foster, I really love Deshaun Foster. I think he's what this program needs in terms of we don't just need the product on the field to be better, which of course is the number one priority. But I do think we need the brand to be better. Coming off Chip Kelly, who couldn't give a damn about UCLA, the brand. He wouldn't even wear the UCLA hat. The pregame festivities were awful. The postgame press conferences, I was in them as a journalist covering this team. The postgame press conferences were a joke. As a brand, UCLA is improving, right? The recruiting is better. The hype is better. The pregame, the postgame, whatever. And that's what you expected when Deshaun Foster got here. But at the end of the day, the product on the field has to carry. And it's just not good enough yet. It's not good enough yet. And so do I think this season is suddenly over? I absolutely don't. I know people are saying, hey, be careful. You know, next week against UNLV is a trap game. Fair. But I still think if I had to put my life on it, UCLA wins the next 3. You beat UNLV. You beat New Mexico. You beat Northwestern. And guess what? You're still 3-1. You still are 1-0 in the Big Ten. And you still have a massive game against Penn State after that. The season is still right there in front of you. But boy, oh boy, you better do that. You better do that. If UCLA's 2-2 going into the ballgame against Penn State, that they will likely lose and fall to 2-3, man, I don't care about the brand. It's another losing season for the Bruins because you still have Indiana and Ohio State and USC after that. So, boy, oh boy, you better win the next 3. You better win the next 3, or I don't care how good the recruiting class is. I don't care how much I love hearing Snoop and Dre in all the videos on Twitter. I don't care how much I love DRE. I don't care how much I love the energy and excitement, whether it's criticism or anything surrounding Nico being a Bruin. Man, none of it matters if the product on the field is not good enough. And right now, after a losing season and now this start, it's not looking great. Let's be honest. But we're going to keep our heads up. We love this team. We love this program. And I still think we're going to win the next 3 games. So make sure you join us on this show live after every single UCLA game. Again, Zach, I know you're familiar with Zach. He will still be doing his reaction videos after these games, not live, but he'll be posting those still. He'll still be doing his daily show Monday through Friday. But now this is the place to be live directly after every single UCLA game right here on the Locked On UCLA channel. Once again, I'm Gavin Carlson. Locked On UCLA Postcast, signing off. Have a great rest of your Saturday night, although it's certainly almost over. It's almost midnight. Have a great rest of your weekend, especially on this 3-day weekend. And I'll see you back here next week. Hopefully a much better next week game against UNLV. Take care, everybody. 4's up. Keep your heads up and go Bruins. I'll see you next week. Take care.